us tonight. Scott was just with us a few minutes ago for our annual general meeting with our board of directors that we had from 6 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. But then Scott had to go off to a meeting. But Scott will join us here through video. But so Amanda, I'll let you kick it off.
Greetings. My name is Scott Harrison. I'm the chair of the board for True North Aid, and it's my pleasure once again to welcome you all to our annual review. I can't join you in person tonight, so I'm making this video as a way to kick off the meeting, and hopefully I'll get through this, probably about the 1,000th take. But that said, I do hope you will find tonight's meeting very encouraging and very stimulating. For those of you for whom this is not the first year, you will know that this has become a bit of a tradition for us. It's an opportunity for us to showcase the work that's happening and the impact that it's having on the lives of so many people. Before we get into the agenda, though, I do think we should all just pause and take a moment to recognize the territory that we find ourselves on. Myself, I'm currently located in the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples, but you, because you're all over the country, will be in many different territories. So just take a moment now to pause and reflect on the territory that you're on. And if you're not sure what that territory is, I would encourage you to find out about the peoples associated with those lands, and to find out about the ongoing work of reconciliation that may be happening in your area. We also want to take a moment to recognize National Indigenous History Month, which we are currently in. This is an important month in Canada for us all to find out more about the history of our country and the histories particularly of the Indigenous peoples of our country. And to as well celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day that honors and recognizes not only the historical leaders in Indigenous communities, but the ongoing leaders today and the future leaders in this country. As you know, the work of reconciliation is very active in this across the country, and there's so many people who are investing themselves in making that happen. And it's an opportunity and an imperative, quite frankly, for all of us to find our way into that work. True North Aid is proud of the work that we do. It's proud to be a partner in reconciliation. The work for us has continued to evolve once again in 2022, but let me assure you that we have been unwavering in our mandate. We remain committed to serving the needs of people in northern communities across the country. Tonight, you're going to hear about some projects which I'm sure you're going to find familiar. Some of these projects have been going on for many years now, and I hope you will be encouraged to hear once again about the difference that they're making. But I'm hoping you will also be encouraged by some of our new projects this evening and some of the new initiatives that we have underway to serve new communities. It's imperative that we not stop continuing to grow, continuing to evolve, and continuing to reach as many people as possible. I would be remiss on behalf of the board if I didn't take a moment as well to thank the staff, to thank the donors, to thank the partners, and the community leaders who've made all of this work possible. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Ken and to the team to lead you through this evening's agenda. But once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of this important work. And we look forward to seeing you again next year as we celebrate the ongoing work that is happening. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. Just to give everybody an idea of what to expect tonight, we're going to have some greetings from one of our elders, Norman McCallum. I'm going to introduce to you who our board of directors are, some of our Indigenous Advisory Council members, our staff. You're going to hear for some, it's the boring stuff. For others, it's very important, but our audited financial statements, we're going to do a very brief review of our financial statements. We're going to introduce you tonight to our new donor relations and corporate outreach person, Christine Jones. So excited for you all to hear from her and the work that she's doing. And then we're going to end the night off with just an overview of the programs and projects that we've been supporting over the last year. And so a lot of exciting stories. You're going to hear from a lot of different people, that serve as volunteers and also as staff. And then finally, closing remarks. I would now like to introduce Norman McCallum.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Norman McCollum. I am an elder with the Woodland Cree Nation and a volunteer with True North Aid. I'd like to begin by thanking you and blessing you with your annual general meeting. I'd like to also begin by thanking the generous sponsors for their generosity and their giving from the heart. I'd also like to thank the volunteers, the staff from True North Aid. And again, thank you very much. What a privilege to work with this organization. God bless you.
Well, thank you, Norman. We are so grateful to have Norman McCallum as part of our Indigenous Advisory Council. Norman and I, we speak often, not as often as I'd like, but he has been a real help and advisor to me and to our staff over the last number of years, in particular with the work that we do in the province of Saskatchewan. I think Norman has visited and knows every Indigenous community in the province of Saskatchewan. And so he has been a tremendous friend, but also resource and advisor. Our board of directors is made up of Scott Harris, our chairman, who you just saw. Ali Cooper out of Oakville is our secretary treasurer. Bob Langlois, who could not be with us tonight, serves as one of our directors, along with Steve Katakopit from Attawapiskat, a dear friend of mine and the organization. We're so grateful for the work that Steve does up there in Attawapiskat. Kim Sigurdsson, also a very good friend and member of the board. Kim's been with us for, I think, 4+ years, and we're so grateful for the insight and the help that Kim is. He brings great value to the board. And Valerie Vickery, who joined us last year. She works at Seneca College. Our board is made up of 50-50. So we have 50% non-Indigenous and 50% Indigenous, and we're very proud of the makeup of our current board and the work that they do to serve us in this capacity. Also, our Indigenous Advisory Council, our two key advisors are Norman McCallum. Norman lives both in British Columbia and Saskatchewan. And you just saw him. So Norman serves as one of our key Indigenous advisors, and also Christine Lefebvre, who now resides in Kingston, Ontario. So we're very grateful for the work. Should be noted that we have other advisors, Indigenous advisors, who advise us on all our activities and projects, and Amanda will touch on that later in the meeting. And then finally, I would like to introduce you to the staff. Of course, I've been executive director for the last 7 years. I live in Kitchener. Marilyn Shewart, who also lives in Kitchener-Waterloo, is our director of finance. Amanda Stoke from Kingston, Ontario. She's been with us for the past 6 years. She serves as our outreach manager, really managing and building the relationships with those we work with throughout Northern Canada. Bethany Sorichetti came to work with us in our finance last year. She's also helping to oversee operations, HR, and many other things. Christine Jones, who you're going to meet shortly, is our new donor relations and corporate outreach person, ensuring that we're looking after the people who provide and give so generously to the organization. And Katie Koopman, she's also been with us for quite a long time. Formerly, she served as a board member. She is now a reconciliation and program coordinator, who you're going to hear from in just a little bit. I would like to now introduce to you Marilyn Shewart, our Director of Finance, who's going to go over the finances.
Okay, we will do that. And just before I get into all the boring numbers, I'm going to let Bethany share a little bit about the audit.
Yes. So I'm Bethany. Like Ken said, I'm the finance coordinator here, along with a few other titles. And I'm going to introduce to you our audited financial statements, and then Marilyn will go into more detail. Each year we have an independent audit completed in order to ensure we are operating in accordance with accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. This not only provides us with feedback, but signals to donors and other key partners that we are collecting and expending donor dollars appropriately. This year's audit was conducted by DBK Accounting Professionals Corporation in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards and we were found to be in accordance with these standards. If you want to review these statements further or past year's statements, you can always find them posted on our website at any time. Passing it on to Marilyn now.
Well, good evening again, everyone. Again, it's my pleasure to give you an update on our financial status. We'll be reviewing four statements from our financial statements. We'll be looking at the balance sheet, a statement of revenue and expenses, changes in the fund balances, and changes in our cash flows. So first, we're going to look at the balance sheet, and I'm just going to try and give you a quick summary on these. So this balance sheet is a statement of our assets, our liabilities, and our equity at the end of the year. You'll see that our assets in 2022 was $1,277,990. That's all the cash in the bank, on-spent advances, etc. Next, we have our liabilities, and that's monies that we owe or deferred revenue, and I'm going to touch on that as soon as this slide is finished. So our liabilities were $339,817. So if you look at the next figure, it's our fund balance or our equity. That means that's the remaining money that we have to spend, or in a business, it would be funds that we would give to our shareholders. So our assets, $1,277,990. Liabilities plus our equity, of course, equals our assets. So we ended our year with equity of $938,173. So that was how we finished our year. Next slide, Bethany. I touched briefly on deferred revenue, and I wanted to share this with you. These are funds that are donated for specific projects. And in this case, when it becomes deferred revenue, it means that we were not able to spend the funds in the year in which it was donated. And why is that important, especially to you as donors? We want to assure you that if you donate to a specific project and the funds are not spent within the year it was donated, they're set aside to spend on that particular project in the future. So we've given you our deferred funds for 2022, and the projects: Moontime Sisters, Work to Give, Friends of the North Mississauga, Culture, Hand Me Ups Ontario, Housing, Health General, Hockey Cares, and Water Funds. So those funds must be spent. Those were dedicated by you for those purposes and will be spent in that way. Next slide, please. This is a statement of revenue and expenses. And again, I won't go through every line here tonight. It's just to show you what revenues we brought in and what we expended. So it shows also whether we made a profit or a loss. So our revenues for the year, and you should note that most of our revenues, as you can see, almost 100% come from donations. A small amount comes from income, interest, and so on, but mostly from donations. Our revenues were $1,569,744. The next chunk, humanitarian expenses, these are funds that are spent directly on programs or projects. So all of that is strictly humanitarian support to our communities. So $2,177,696 was spent on programs for northern communities in 2022. I'd like to drop down then to the operating expenses, and these are the costs that it takes to run the organization. It's salaries, it's office expenses, credit card charges. We get charged when we process payments and so on and so forth. So our operating costs for the year, $259,159. So again, a very small amount compared to our revenues. So the percentage is 16.5%. Again, well within acceptable standard for operating expenses. At the bottom, whoops. Sorry, Bethany. You'll see that at the bottom, there is a deficit of $867,111,000. That's not a bad thing, because this was planned expenditure. We got a lot of donations in 2021 that were not able to spend. And so these expenses were against the funds that we brought into the year. So a great year, not a bad year at all. That was against equities that we had. Thanks, Bethany. This next slide, it summarizes the changes. It's just a snapshot of how our funds changed, not our cash, but our funds. So the beginning of the year, our fund balance was $1,314,584,000. Then you'll see that $67,111 that we overspent compared to our revenue, and $490,700 we brought that money forward for a specific project that was a good night's sleep that we could not do in 2021, and we did in 2022. So again, you can see that the equity at the end of the year, as you saw in a previous statement, $938,173 was our equity at the end of 2022. The next slide then is just showing the changes in our cash flow. So at the very beginning, you will see that there was a deficit, again, as we've already mentioned, $867,111. But there were other changes as well in there that made our actual change in our cash, it decreased by $812,273. So that this is just a summary of where the cash moved in our account. So again, a decrease in cash of $812,273. Our opening balance was $1,855,605. That's what we brought forward from the previous year. So our cash at the end of the year was $1,043,332. Again, there's a further breakdown of that monies, but that was the cash that we had at the end of 2022. So even though it looked like we lost money, we're in a really, really great position financially. This slide is just showing a breakdown of expenditures. You'll see on the one side, the humanitarian expenses year over year. And as you can quickly see, supplies or things for our northern communities, the supplies is a major piece that we see there. On the other side, the operating expenses, again, we looked at numerically what we spent, and this is a snapshot of what we're spending year over year to run the True North organization. And again, that includes things like wages and office administration and communications and bank charges, et cetera. So you can see that the expenditures are pretty much the same year over year as far as the categories that we spend them on. And again, just a little quick snapshot of that. So again, that's our financial picture. We're very pleased with where we are and how we're managing our funds. We're very diligent in stewarding all the money that you give us. And so we just wanted to show you that and thank you for all that you do. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Christine Jones. And as already been mentioned, Christine is our new donor relations and corporate outreach person. And so I'll let Christine share a little bit about herself.
Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate everyone's lovely introductions. I joined the team at the very end of February earlier this year, and I think I'm the furthest away from everybody else out in Saskatchewan. I live in Regina, and this is my home base and where I work from as well. So yeah, I've seen right off the bat, that True North Aid has been so fortunate to receive many generous gifts over the years, big and small. However, we have seen this giving grow rapidly over the last few years in particular, which has created a corresponding demand for a dedicated team member to communicate and collaborate with our amazing donors. So that's where I come in. So I'm just going to pick up from where Marilyn left off. Just looking a little further at those dollars and numbers. You can see what I mean here about the rapid growth in our fundraising, looking at that light blue line for 2021. So in May 2021, for those who need some context, if you need, Canadians reacted to the confirmation of 215 unmarked graves found at Kamloops Indian Residential School on Kamloops Dissewekmuk territory. So we saw a surge in donations at that time and continuing on as more graves were confirmed at other residential school grounds. And we do continue to see those updates to this day. So that is one factor to consider with our numbers. Another factor is in August 2021, we were very fortunate to receive a substantial contribution from Amazon Canada, which accounts for that especially large jump in August and for those that bigger revenue for the year of 2021. So going a little further, with that jump in gifts, that also meant we had a jump in donors. So we at True North Aid and the communities we work with are glad Canadians responded and remain engaged. We still see growth each year. You can see from last year with the orange line for 2022 that we continue to gain donors, and we are so grateful for that. Going a little further to break down what our gifts look like, what's coming into us. We think it is important. It's important to us that we highlight that the core of our support comes from donations of $50 or less. These heartfelt contributions hold immense value. And while any one of these gifts on its own may seem small, collectively they add up to a substantial impact in northern and remote communities. Our donors from coast to coast to coast show us that even small acts of generosity can create transformative outcomes, and you'll see just what I mean in a few minutes when we talk about our programs. Now, a special group I'd like to talk about and recognize in particular is our monthly donors. We want to express our sincere appreciation to our monthly donors who have taken the responsibility to support necessary community-centered Indigenous-led change by committing to regular contributions. Your dedication enables us to plan for lasting impacts, and we are incredibly grateful for your heart and for taking action. And I see Claire is in our audience. I hope she's still there. I had the pleasure of speaking with her earlier this week. to learn about why she gives. And Claire's been with us, donating to us monthly since 2017. And I will just read to you what she shared with me. So she wrote, "I believe True North Aid has found a good way to bring direct help to communities. Giving monthly assures me that True North Aid can continue to plan in advance to meet agreed needs in communities. When I give monthly to True North Aid as one of my several actions for reconciliation, I can be confident that I am to some extent recognizing and giving back for the privilege of sharing this land." So again, Claire, thank you so much for sharing those words. And I know that a lot of our donors, monthly and individual and businesses, this really resonates with you as well, and why you give. So thank you for that, Claire, for sharing that. We also want to recognize the corporations and businesses who have also stepped up. They demonstrate our collective accountability as Canadians by actively supporting Indigenous-led initiatives through donations. Whether it's financial or product support, they supplement what our generous donor community is able to give to ensure needs are met and programs can run in northern and remote communities. So these are just some of the businesses and corporations that donated to us last year. And we are so grateful to any business and corporation that has supported us in the past and presently. So just on a little end note from me, just want to say again, thank you so much. We value each and every one of our donors. We wouldn't be here doing this work without your support. I also just want to note, as we talk about programs and some of the highlights and things we have coming up, that if anything speaks to your heart, whether you're an individual donor, you're a part of a business, you're interested in monthly giving, please reach out to me, and I would love to speak with you and see how we can work together. So on that note, that brings us to Amanda, our outreach manager, and she's going to talk more about those projects and programs.
Thank you so much, Christine. We're so lucky to have Christine on the team. She really ups the ante. It's great. It's great. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about program highlights. I'd like to recognize that I'm on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. I live in Kingston, and it's a great city. And I've also been with True North Aid for 6 years. Part of that's volunteering and doing my own programs, and now I get to do this amazing job. So let's get to the program highlights. And so we've been around since 2017, or a little bit longer, but 2017 we've revamped and have supported over 100 communities, whether that's through our programs like Moontime Sisters, our community initiatives programs that I'll touch later on, or donated supplies to. 100 communities have been touched by True North Aid in the past 6 years. So some highlights from 2022 and 2023. This is $114,555 have been delivered of mattresses, books, beds, and just mentioned that, backpacks, all that fun stuff. We supported currently up to 38 community initiatives, and that is growing, and over 6,087 people have been supported. A little quick overview of our programs. I'll touch base on the community initiatives, which is my favorite. We have reconciliation programs that we'll talk about later. Hockey Cares is our exchange with Attawapiskat First Nation and Oakville Youth. We run our supplies programs, which did include a good night's sleep, sending those mattresses back to school, warm clothes, Moontime Sisters, and Roll Up for Mobility, which is our wheelchair campaign that we'll be looking forward to this year. So here's a little video from Caroline Flett from Fox Lake School in Manitoba, who received backpacks.
Okay.
Hello, Dancy. My name is Caroline Flett. I'm the principal of Fox Lake School here in northern Manitoba. We have an N-8 school with 33 students. That's what your program was about, helping us with backpack and school supplies for our students. We live quite far from the nearest big city where we can shop for school supplies. So this really helped out our community. The students are very happy to receive their backpacks. I thank you very much. I go sit.
And thanks, Caroline for sharing that video with us. And so this is one of our highlighted programs where Indigenous-led projects all across remote and northern communities, and they are aimed to create positive and an impactful community-led change. And so some of the focus areas of the community initiatives are the advancement of education and cultural revitalization and community building, reclaiming plant and food sovereignty. That's like some of the community gardens that we've been able to support, addressing housing inequities, promotion of holistic, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, which is a lot of what of the this program falls under, and equitable access to essential resources. And so everything that we do with the community initiatives, it's always approved and thought out by the Indigenous advisory committee that we have. So Carrie from Winnipeg, Paul's in Kingston, so is Linda, and Norman is part of that to have a say in a lot of the Saskatchewan programs. So I appreciate them so much. I call them friends and love working with them. So they are wonderful. They really do lead the program. And so some of the highlights from last year for the programs was providing canoes at Pelican Narrows. We supported a Ebb and Flow food bank and starting up a spot to have traditional foods cut up and managed on the land camps all over Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, whether that's, going back to Cree teachings or Métis teaching was one. Summer Fun was providing some summer fun stuff for kids up in Coal Bay, including like little pools, toys, that kind of stuff. Some mental health workshops, which I'll show you guys later from Sheena. She has something to say about that. Moose hide tanning up in the Northwest Territories, various music programs across Saskatchewan, a language conference, which brought in teachers from all over Saskatchewan to learn the importance of language revitalization, and then canoe journeys in BC, who I just got to meet the lovely Jody, who helps run that program on the tribal journeys in the coast of British Columbia. And so next slide you'll see is a video from the Valentine Project. I just recently was able to go to Vancouver and meet Dwight and Denise, who run the Valentine Project for their We See You trip, which provide an opportunity for kids to see what kind of jobs are out there, what educations are out there. So I'd like to show you this quick little video on what that week looked like, but this is just one of the many projects that we support.
Well, that's what happens.
It was a really fun week getting to know the kids, learning about what their dreams were and like what they want to accomplish. It was really it was a really great week. So I appreciate Dwight and Denise for inviting us on that trip and being part of it. So some other programs that I'll highlight is the Inuvik Freezer program. This is True North Aid provides practical humanitarian support. So like nothing gets more practical than the Inuvik freezer program. So we're with support of the Inuvik band, able to purchase 30 freezers to address the food insecurity, like having a place to store traditional foods and preserve them. So freezers, that made a huge difference. And then another one that we were able to support just recently wrapped up was a Glulik Wilderness First Aid course. There's a little arrow that says, "Don't worry, this is fake," but apparently that was one of the highlights of this program, was like the kids getting to go and pretending that, you know, they had a fake injury to show off to the parents, and they were taking photos of it, showing it off. But they actually learned how to take care of wounds like that. And so kids had been out on the land, students had been out on the land before and have had emergencies happen. And so they weren't exactly equipped to deal with them. So now when they go out on the land, because of everything being so remote in their community and them needing to go get traditional foods, they have the skills to handle those emergencies. Also, she doesn't have a broken leg, just an FYI too. Just wanted to point that out because I just thought that was funny. Anyways, a next highlight from last year was the mental health course. And Sheena Snow, I have a little video from her. She's from Colville Lake in Northwest Territories.
Hi, my name is Sheena Snow. I am from Colville Lake, and I wanted to send this video just to say thank you to True North Aid for providing the financial funds to have the workshop we had a couple months ago with the one counselor we brought in from Edmonton and the two indigenous workers with her. It really helped our people here. We come from a long line of people that were affected by residential school. So still to this day, it affects a lot of us. And through this workshop that was done, we were able to have a better understanding of our past, and how traumas affected us. And right now we have a better understanding of it all, so we are able to deal with our issues now and in a positive way, and we're able to have a better future, hope for the future, because we learned so much during these few days of workshop. The elders were involved, the leaders, the youth were participating. So it was just a overall great workshop for all of us, and we are so thankful to True North Aid for funding this for the betterment of our community. So thank you so much. Because of True North Aid, we are very hopeful and inspired for the future. Thank you so much from all the people here and all the young people, the leaders. Thank you.
And again, thank you to Sheena for sharing that with us. And I hope that I know everything that we do is always based on relationship with communities. You know, there's a lot of people I call friends now that we've been able to follow up, check in, all that kind of stuff. So relationship is the biggest thing. So I'm hoping that we can continue to work with Sheena and Colville Lake. So the next person I will introduce is a wonderful human being. His name is Robert Ritwidge. He is a project leader with Correctional Services Canada and the Work to Give program. So he will be able to share with you a little bit about the Work to Give program and go from there. Thanks, Robert, for coming by.
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure. And as you can see, if you can see my camera, I'm from my hotel office today, and I apologize for that. But the reason why I'm from my hotel office is because we're in Wikwemikong unceded territory right now, and we're doing a presentation from Work to Give to the local community. And the local community and our honored guest, Movember, which is also a partner with CSE and True North Aid. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about what Work to Give is. We build stuff inside the institutions, and we create connection and purpose and a sense of identity, and that connection to community from inside the walls, from inside the fence. And that's significantly important in terms of changing the mental health of the individuals that work with Work to Give, which are federal offenders and may not have seen their family on the inside for quite a while, and or have been in for quite a while, and don't have that connection to community in which they came from. So this gives them the opportunity to, number one, learn skills. Number two, problem solving skills. Number three, be culturally surrounded by good people and good energy and that balance. In terms of the stuff that we do outside in the community, we go to places like Wikwemikong First Nation here. We meet with the community. After we meet with the community, they identify what they need. Like that picture in front of you there, that's the community of Ottawa. Actually, it's a CRF, which is a community residential facility. And they identified that they would need a carving shed or a carving space. And you see that carving space there with the two men standing on the side of the doors there. That's currently setting up in Ottawa. What we brought up to Wikwemikong was things like a floating dock, some picnic tables, some planters, some garden beds, etc. And those were all identified by community. Now that floating dock, that was an amazing thing. It was a 36-foot by 10-foot floating dock made of Douglas fir wood. And if you're familiar with wood, that's pretty heavy wood. But it was amazing. And now the community is going to be able to do their fishing program there and teach the young ones how to fish and what fishing meant back in the day, back in those traditional ways, and so that they have that life skill to be able to change their life and change the next generations for the future. One of the most significant things that occurred this week is that we had our other partners, Movember, come all the way from Australia to join us in this great venture. The CEO of Movember, the founder of Movember, Travis, was there, and he got to see firsthand what it was like to be able to provide these items to community and hear the stories from the community and the men that participated in the build of these items and the refurbishment of their powwow ground stage that they have and that they do their ceremonial gatherings on, and their grade 8 graduations and everything else like that. They got to hear firsthand how the Work to Give program and specifically True North Aid is making a difference in everybody's life. And it's some of the deepest, darkest places inside these institutions here, and the mental health of the men can quite deteriorate quite quickly. So this is that light at the end of the tunnel, and we're hearing those stories in community, face to face with the people that have been changed inside by this program, and we're giving away items so that we can create a safer space, a place where people can be positive and sit around the fire and share thoughts and share ideas. And it's like sitting in a barber chair. I said earlier today, it's like sitting in a barber chair. You and your barber have that special relationship, right? Well, sitting around the fire for Indigenous people, that's that special relationship, not only with the people sitting around that circle, but with Creator himself or herself, and those thoughts and those prayers that go into that fire and are carried up to that into Creator and into that hemisphere where you can manifest things. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because Work to Give made 4 benches, one for each direction, to sit at the low barrier housing facility here in Wikwemikong First Nation, and we made a garden bed so that they can plant medicines and or vegetables, whatever they would like, really. But they identified the need, and we came through and we made it so that they can have a better place to do their thing, to gather their people, to sit and reflect and create that balance within the mental health of their own communities. And I saw, I'm beaming with pride right now. It's not red from sun. It's red from beaming with pride. If you're taking a look at the camera right now, because everybody was all smiles today. Ogima, Rachel Manitowabi was down there, Chief Manitowabi was down there, and the Regional Deputy Commissioner of Ontario was down there too, and they were all shaking hands and sharing stories, and everybody was laughing as we gave these things away, and as we built these things, refurbished their stage and created a safer space for their cultural gatherings. A lot of pride today. And number one thing is, none of that happens without the movement of money. That's where True North Aid comes in. True North Aid makes all the difference. I see Bethany there. Bethany, it's very nice to see you. And it's been a pleasure working with you, I must say. Bethany, even though I might call her, 7 or text her at 7 o'clock in the morning, she's always there. And the other day that happened when I was sitting at a rental place there and renting a sander that we needed to refurbish that stage to make sure that it was safe for the community, and Bethany was there. So I want to give props to Ken, I want to give props to Amanda, I want to give props to Bethany, and I want all of you to know how much of a difference you're truly making. To be able to give these items away, well, it speaks for itself. Giving is the best thing in life. It's the best thing in my life. I've got the best position. We make things and give them away for free. And I get to see people smiling all the time, and the balance come in for the mental health, for the men inside the institution. So I want to thank you very much for everything that you do, all the things that who you are. And I hope that I painted a great picture of the type of change that your organization is making, alongside with Movember, yes, the mustache people, and the Correctional Service of Canada. And the Correctional Service of Canada, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. You take care.
Thank you so much, Robert. You got me a little emotional, but what's new? But thank you so much. Let's go for coffee.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you again for your kind words. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Wow. So I have another little video, a quick video from one of the programs you might know, called Moontime Sisters, providing menstrual products to northern communities all across the country. So here is this quick little video for Moontime Sisters.
Hi, my name is Nicole White, and I'm the founder of Moontime Sisters, a flagship project of True North Aid.
And I'm Veronica Brown. I'm the Moontime Sisters Ontario chapter lead.
And I'm Neha Menon. I'm the Moontime Sisters British Columbia chapter lead. Unfortunately, our Manitoba lead, Janessa Roy, sends her regrets today.
Moontime Sisters is the only national Indigenous-led period equity organization supporting Northern and Indigenous menstruators. We do this by collecting and shipping menstrual products to remote communities across the country, where the products are provided to community free of cost.
In northern communities, pads and tampons can cost anywhere from $7 to more than $25, leaving many to face difficult choices. Some communities have no access to products and need to travel far distance to purchase these items with very little variety. We believe that menstrual rights are human rights, and no person should ever have to sacrifice their menstrual health due to the lack of access to and affordability of product.
As a collective, we have partnered with over 65 Northern Indigenous communities across the country and have shipped over 2 million products to high schools, elementary schools, midwifery organizations, healthcare centers, friendship centers, shelters, food banks, and community programs in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Nunavut, Newfoundland and Labrador, Northwest Territories, and most recently, the Yukon.
This past year, we experienced unprecedented growth. Joe Fresh launched their period underwear with us, donating 10,000 pairs for us to distribute across the country. We had a donation of $250,000 from Shoppers Love Me program. We were also a recipient of a grant from NICS. We've grown, made great progress, and helped many, but as long as period inequity remains an issue, our work will not be done. We're looking forward to another incredible year accomplishing great things alongside True North Aid.
forgot to cut that. That's okay. Amazing work. I remember sorting those with Katie, our next presenter, sorting those period underwear. That was a lot. It was fun. They do amazing work. They're great to work with. I love all four of them. All these great women they're just amazing. So our next presenter is Katie Koopman. She is the reconciliation coordinator with True North Aid, and she's a great friend of mine too. So I get to work with my friend, which is awesome. So please welcome Mrs. Katie Koopman.
Thanks, Amanda. In the life cycle of True North Aid, this is my favorite time of year. It's like we get to unwrap all these stories together as staff first to be able to present to you all, and then again publicly. So it's my favorite time of year personally. So in addition to this practical humanitarian support that True North Aid commits to, our organization also understands that it is essential to pair this good work with reconciliatory education. This is done through annual and ongoing opportunities and events, as well as mentoring volunteers and interested parties who wish to self-educate or educate others regarding Indigenous issues and the work our organization accomplishes. And I have to say that lately we have been at the forefront of this. Many calls, many inquiries as to how individuals can step up. So these are some of the ways in which we have provided in-person or online opportunities for people to gather to have meaningful dialogue. 2019, Amanda and I ran the first reconciliation walk here in Kingston at Little Cataraqui Conservation Area. What that looked like was a timeline of residential school history presented on a trail at this conservation area in reading stations. It allowed for people to set aside time on September 30th, the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, also known as Orange Shirt Day, to really absorb our history and to be connected to land while walking the trail and in the woods. So there was, between reading stations, as you can see on the slide, opportunities for people to reflect. And then we would gather at the end to debrief. And this was a self-guided tour that people would come and go from during the day. And actually in 2022, people were bringing their families back and bringing their neighbors back to do it again. We knew we needed to expand this. And so this year we are in Kingston again. We will be in Kitchener-Waterloo, and we are very close to being in a third city in Ontario. So we are starting to expand this particular event. The next one is a wonderful literacy initiative that began in 2021, and it has been this wonderful collective of Canadians who have stepped up to donate gift cards to purchase Indigenous authored and illustrated books to send north to communities who have applied to receive books for their own literacy programs. So this year, books went to 3 northern communities. We partnered through with Good Minds. There were 57 donated gift cards totaling almost $4,000, and there were 24 unique shipping donations totaling just a little over $1,500. To help, I guess, advertise this, but also celebrate Indigenous literacy, we hosted a weekly author series, Indigenous authors, through the month of February, and it was very well attended with 95 registered participants with an average of 30 to 40 participants each week. This is one of the schools, Alexis Arrow Maker School in Wet'suwet'en, Northwest Territories, who received their books about 3 weeks ago. So I got this great photo to share with you tonight. And this is a quote from another community who requested books. And Nikki said to me, "Spring is finally here, and we are actually running our first program with the books next week. This is some news you're able to pass along at your AGM. We are using the bug book, Mika Loves Nature, Insects, and some of the bug names will be translated into Gwich'in. The program is called Weed, Water, and Read. It is held at the Inuvik Community Greenhouse, and we will be gardening, reading, and making crafts. I hope this info on the first program shows how needed donations from True North Aid are." That was a really great response. Our online settler discussion series runs 3 to 4 times a year. And since we hosted it in June 2021, over 250 people have participated. And that has included corporate, faith affiliations, high schools, public events as well. And this settler discussion series brings people together in meaningful dialogue that looks at privilege, land, residential school, and allyship. And we build a solid argument as to why we are here in the first place and what we can do better. A participant said this: such a valuable learning and growing experience. I appreciated the great discussion and resource recommendations. While 4 sessions is perfect, the series has encouraged me in doing more myself. I look forward to learning about more opportunities to learn. And we have started to host retreats. This first one, Becoming Kin, is based on Patty Krawick's book. She is an Anishinaabe woman with roots in Ukrainian heritage as well. So this retreat brings a small group of Canadians together, between 20 and 30 people. We've posted 2 in Ontario so far, and we will be in BC and Nova Scotia in the fall. And we will be having excellent nuanced conversations on how we can become better kin to one another while still holding our own kin accountable. So look for these events coming near you. And finally, as I said before, we've noticed this uptick in volunteers, fundraising, and awareness inquiries. All of these we try to steward in a thoughtful way that encourages individuals to tap into their own talents, skills, resources, networks, and platforms to do the work that is asked of us, to learn the truth about our country's history, and in doing so, why True North Aid exists in the first place. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
First off, I just want to thank you, Katie, and introduce Allie Cooper, who is on our board and also a volunteer with Hockey Cares, and she'll share a little bit about what's happening with Hockey Cares this year.
Hi, thanks, Amanda. Hockey Cares is entering its 5th year of the Cultural and Sports Exchange between the communities of Oakville and Attawapiskat. So thanks to your generous donations and the efforts of the 2 communities, we are really excited to be planning for a group of players and chaperones to be heading up to Attawapiskat this November. And the youth from Attawapiskat will be visiting Oakville in June of 2024 to complete the exchange. These events are full of hockey, cultural experiences, education, and of course, just getting to know each other as people, as kids, in the spirit of reconciliation. So we'd just like to thank our many sponsors, donors, and volunteers that make this exchange possible and have been having it go for 5 years, as well as to Experiences Canada, who makes all of our travel possible. So thanks so much.
We're nearing the end. And so when we're near the end, we look forward to lots of different programs. So you can look at what Roll Up for the North, check out those wheelchairs, 14 communities shipped out. We're working with Lego Replay on sending Lego out to kids, winter clothing, back to school, looking at Photo Voice. And of course, like Ali said, Hockey Cares is coming up.
Well, hi, Amanda. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say goodbye to everybody and put the final touches on such a great year. I want to thank all of you for your donations and for your time. The administration, the volunteers, the board of directors, all working really hard. It's been one of the greatest experiences in my life, and I hope it is for everybody else. And don't forget, pray for Ukraine. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. Kim is one of our Indigenous board members from Manitoba and heavily involved currently in helping with the rebuilding of Ukraine. And so we're so grateful that he could bring closing remarks. Well, on that note, this is the closing of our 2023 annual review. We're so grateful to all of you for taking the time to join us tonight. Thank you for supporting, as has been said. We're so grateful. So with that, I wish you all a very good night and a good week and year ahead. Thank you.